We are playing a little bit of Hex. Let's queue up a gauntlet. As soon as Magic Online is functional, we will play Magic Online. I've got the Twitter page open, waiting for an update. So they cannot fix the known bugs. Yep, right. This hand's medium. I just don't understand why they can't do their weekly server maintenance that they know is coming during the middle of the night. Like the time when they do their server maintenance right now is morning US and evening EU, which is just the stone worst time. You should probably do it I don't know, 3 or 4 a.m. US, so that's morning EU, which is probably the lowest traffic time overall. So opponent's playing a Sapphire Ruby aggressive deck. I recommended decks that are out of meta. I mean, I don't think there's enough games being played in this deck to really have a defined meta. All of those decks I listed in that primer are perfectly reasonable. In fact, we're playing against one of the decks that I've listed in that primer, so it's fine. And the decks in that primer, you're going to be able. Actually, one of the decks, the Urgrok deck, the Ruby aggro deck, is one I bought for my wife, and she's been doing fine with it. So this is a mechanic called tunneling. It's a combination of suspend and morph. You don't know when their card's going to come back in, and actually we have a tunneler too, so he tunnels for 4, but our opponent doesn't know that this is a Reese that we are tunneling. So it could be literal anything that's a Sapphire or Blood tunneler. You also have we're waiting for Magic Online. We are literally waiting for Magic Online. As soon as Magic Online deems itself functional, we will close Hex and play Magic Online. We streamed Hex all day yesterday, and I'd intended to just stream just Magic today, but I signed on because my kids are taking early naps today, and Magic Online was still offline. So this is a neat mechanic. When this comes into play, it puts spider eggs in my opponent's deck, and when my opponent draws the spider egg, I get a 1/1 that's unblockable. It's going to pass the turn back. So opponent is a little shard screwed. We know that there's rubies in their deck because their champion has a ruby power to use. So there's a ruby shard. So he's got his colors now. Counter Magic's a good draw. So Counter Magic in this game, in addition to countering their spell, makes all other cards with the same name cost 2 more, which is sweet. No reason to attack here. He just won't block, and then he'll get to attack us on the crackback with the 2-power guy. This guy has lethal, which is essentially Death Touch. It is a skill-based game that includes variance by design. Like all card games. Card games have variance by design. Huh. So this being on 4 could be a Reese, or it could be a... What's the other card? It could be a Spy. I think the Spy, Subterranean Spy, Tunnels Force 4. No, Subterranean Spy, Tunnels for 2. I'm completely misremembering. So this is likely a Reese. Yeah, not a problem, Cantillo. I wish I was streaming Magic for you. I try to do splits. I like both games, so we do some Hex and some Magic. So I think I just have to let Buck resolve here, so that way we can counter Magic the Reese next turn. All the digital CCGs have skill required in them. People that say these games are all luck based are people that are just upset that they're not winning at them. It's an excavation Hulk, yeah, right. Alright, so we're going to play the Shard of Cunning. So this is a dual shard. I get to pick one of the two thresholds that it gives me, but it doesn't give me a resource this turn, so it effectively comes into play tapped. I don't want to blow my Extinction, which is a sweeper, because this is coming into play next turn. So what's likely going to happen is this is going to try to come into play. I'm going to counter Magic. He's going to counter Magic back. This will resolve all Extinction on my turn. So we're going to counter Magic this. He's probably going to fight over it. Nope, no fight. Sweet. So we're going to take 4 here, and this got inspired by the other guy, so he draws a card when it hits me, which kind of sucks. And then I guess he might just want to counter Magic my Reese since he's already ahead on the board. So if he does that, he counter Magics my Reese, then I'm going to Extinction and clean up the board afterwards. Which really this is only going to be a 1-for-1 since this cantrip to replace itself. That's just Eldrazi based, yep. I mean, to be fair, if you're all playing Eldrazi, the playing field is level, and then it's skill based, you know. Azure Fate Sorceress. That's really good. And this deals damage to me when it comes into play equal to its power. So, yeah, and then he gets to draw a card from that. Yeah, Larynx, no worries. And his champion ability reveals cards from the top of his library, or from the top of his deck, and gives him a creature with power and toughness equal to the number of resources revealed this way. This is actually kind of unfortunate. I wish my Reese had one more counter on it, because it's going to come into play now, and I think I have to Extinction. Yeah, I think I just have to sweep the board, which is sad. Because all of these cards drew cards for him. And this didn't even cost him a card to begin with. He might even have had a counterspell for this. He's drawn so many cards. That's gross. So he bounces this guy that does damage to us. And it still has the line of text draw card on it because the modifiers they keep through zones in this game. So like even when he bounces at hand, it keeps all of the buff modifiers. I'm doing well, Cookie. Arcane Focus, sure. I hate playing against birds so much that I almost enjoy the Eldrazi metagame. You're a monster. Get out of here. So this game is not looking well for us. We had to use the Extinction and kill our Reese. He has his Azure Fate coming back down and doing 2 and drawing another card to us. So the deck that I'm playing is it's actually a combo deck. We're going to play Magic as soon as Magic Online is alive. Magic Online is currently not functional. Not that Magic Online is ever very functional, but right now it's actually just non-existent. In fact, I'm going to boot my VM up right now and download the update ahead of time. Yeah, opponent's playing a deck that's called Azure Cannon, and his deck basically this card actually has Quick, so he can play it at whenever he wants, essentially. And like the first thing that really sold me on Hex was that one of the tier 1 decks is just like a hard do nothing control deck. Another Mentalist, sure. Mastery of Time? Opponent's going real deep. He's got Time Walks in his deck. I did not see Worth's article. It made me feel appreciated as a player. Oh boy. It's just on mtgo.com, Ryan. Do nothing? It draws all the cards. It's basically do nothing. Attack. I'll block. So opponent's a little bit flooded, which might be our saving grace this game. I need to get this Azure Fate Sorceress off the table, though. Well, Arcane Focus. Another Extinction would be great. Kill. Okay. Kill is glass half full. So during his ready step before he draws, I'm going to go ahead and kill the Azure Fate here. Oh. Resolve Ripple. Okay, so I'm doing this during his ready step, so if he has counter magic or another time ripple, he has to use it on his turn and use some of his resources up. He has a lot of resources, so it's not like that big of a play, but it is still worthwhile, I think. It's technically correct to wait there. We all know technically correct is the best kind of correct. Cast another Arcane Focus. Would like to kill this guy too, actually. Ooh, Rise Again is a reanimate spell. Does this resolve? Madness definitely works on Magic Online. I played Big Game Hunter in my last Modern deck. So we're still not in a great spot. Like, he's only played one Azure Sorceress this game, so like if he finds another, it could be good. Oh, I can bring a Reese back into play. That's going to be really good. So Rise Again puts a troop from any crypt into a graveyard, from a troop from any crypt into play under my control. Alright, Rise Again. If he doesn't have a piece of counter magic here, this Reese will be able to take over the game very quickly, which is good for us. So Reese creates a random robot at the end of every turn, which could be a 1-1 and sometimes is a 10-10. So, you know, a little bit of RNG in there, but on average, pretty good. And we hit our 7th charge power, which allows us to create an Oracle Song, which draws us 2 cards. I'm going to crack him for 3 since his guy is -1 power, so I can't really attack. So, need to turn the corner here. Need to pressure his deck to win the game. Oh, sweet. So we got a 1/3. Another robot you control gains a random keyword. Sure. He has a time ripple. Sure. So opponent messed up there. He should have time rippled before the end step because he let me get a robot. If he would have time rippled during my main phase, I wouldn't have been able to recast it, and I wouldn't have a robot right now. Jahala. And opponent's flooded, so screw usually beats flood. We're missing resources, but yeah, so this is sweet. So this card, we can choose to get a threshold, but since we already have threshold, we can use it to put eggs into our opponent's deck. Then we can recast this Reese. Continue shipping for 3. You're awake, toddler. Did you have a good nap? This is a 3/2. Sweet. Buccaneer. Sure. I'm going to give him a random keyword. Let's see what he gets. Life Drain would be great. Steadfast, so attacks without tapping, attacks without exhausting. So this is going to bounce Reese again.